In Inventors of the South Tigris, players are aspiring inventors who are mashing together ideas with their inspiration, building prototypes, and maybe even publishing them. The game will take place over 4 rounds. The game, like all South Tigris games, will revolve around dice. On the left side of your board is where you will keep your dice. These will be in your study, the exhausted area, the ready area, your determined area, or your inspired area. On your turn, you will usually use your dice to take an action, and you can use dice from the ready, determined, or inspired areas. When using dice from the determined area, they will get a +1 to their value, and dice from the inspired area get a +5, so they're basically always 6s. Throughout the game, you will do what is called brightening your dice, which is shown by this symbol. When you brighten a die, you may move it up one section outside or in your study. Moving dice in your study will gain you bonuses. When you brighten, you may instead move a die out of your study to the adjacent area. When dice move from exhausted to ready or out of your study, they will be rolled. Many actions will also cause you to use your craftspeople. You have a scribe, a chandler, a blacksmith, a carpenter, a tiler, and a weaver. When you use them, you will have to pay them the value shown in the area that they're in here. You will then flip them over and then move them up a level. To use them again, you will have to gain a refresh craftsperson action. If you ever empty the bottom of your tower, you will gain a bonus and your tower will move up like this. As you move up in your tower, you will gain endgame points, but your craftspeople are now better trained and therefore are more expensive. Okay, now that we've gone over some basics, let's talk about some actions that you can take. You may place a die up here to use one of your camels. This is how you will do the 4 main actions: invent, build, test, and publish. And note that when doing the invent, build, or publish actions, if you use the matching die color, you will get a bonus. When you do the invent action, you will have to place dice equal to or greater than the value shown here on the device board that you want to invent on, and you'll have to discard device cards. You will then choose a device from your hand to invent and place it here. Any guilds you match on will put your influence in that minaret. You will then move your royalties marker 1 space over, which will give you more income at the beginning of rounds. Finally, you will place one of your invention tiles and cover up this spot here. You have now invented horse-powered eyeglasses. But now someone's gotta build it. You may take the build action and place a die on your camel equal to or greater than the value on the device card. You will also have to pay the craftspeople shown next to it. You pay them and move them up as we discussed earlier. Then both the builder and the inventor gain the bonus on the invention tile here. Note that you can build, test, and publish other people's inventions. Then you will turn this tile over and place it on the device card here. Place an influence marker to signify that you're the one who built this, and then move it to the built column. Now it's built, and I think it's time to publish. To publish, you will place dice on your camel equal to or greater than the value of the tile here. You will then pay the inventor 1 coin unless it was yourself, pay your scribe and any other craftsperson of your choice, and then move them up in your tower. You will advance 1 spot on the royalties track and then place one of your influence on the publisher spot to show that you're the one who published it, and then you'll move it over to the published column. The last thing that you can do with inventions is test them. Note that you may only test inventions that have been built or published. To do this, you will place one of the colored die on one of the test spots on the device board here, and then you will move your boat forward the amount of space is shown. When you move your boat, you will gain the workshop tile of the spot that it lands on. These will go into your workshop, and these can be activated by placing dice in that row, which is another action that you can take. You will place dice in the row that you want to activate, but make sure you pay attention to the values on the tiles. To activate a tile, you have to place dice equal to or greater than the value shown on a tile to activate it. So if I placed a 5 in this row, I could activate these 2 tiles, but not this one. If I placed a 9, then I could activate all of them, and you may always activate them in any order you choose. Some of the workshop tiles require you to use at least 1 die of the color shown as well, either blue, orange, or charcoal. So those are the actions you may take with your dice, but you also have a few workers. These will go up on these spaces and will require you to spend your influence in the 3 guilds. As you saw with the various workshop tiles, there are a lot of different things you can do up here, but the main one we'll talk about is doing this red research action. When a workshop tile gets taken, you can then take a research action to place a research tile in that vacant spot. A player will place an influence on the open space and then draw 3 tiles and choose 1 to place there. If there is already a research tile and a player wants to access it, they may place one of their influence on it when taking this action instead of bringing out a new research tile. The research tiles in the first area will give you ongoing abilities. The tiles in the middle area will be bonuses you get when you place your tent. And the last section will be instant one-time bonuses. Speaking of your tent, the last kind of action you can take is placing your tent. When you do this, you will place it out on one of the spaces here and you will gain those bonuses. At this point, you're pseudo-passed for the round. Though if players are still going, when it comes back around to your turn, you may activate a workshop in the same way you normally would, you may brighten a die, you may refresh a craftsperson, or you may pay any craftsperson to move dice from a workshop row to your exhausted area, freeing up that row. Once all players have placed their tent, the round will end. At the beginning of the round, starting with the second round, players will gain income. They will gain the bonuses where their royalty marker is, and then they'll gain the bonus in this green bar at the bottom of their tower. The game will end after 4 rounds, and then all players will score. Each guild will give points to whoever has the most influence. You will then score based on where your royalties marker is. You will gain points for your influence on research tiles. Your craftspeople will score points based on what floor they're on. Workshops will score if they have any points on them, and you will score uncovered points where your invention tiles are. Finally, the various devices will score. If a device is only built but not published, the builder will score 1 point for every tested die on the device. If it's published, the builder will score 3 points and the publisher will score 1 point per tested die. If the builder and publisher are the same player, they will only score 1 point for being the builder instead of 3. Lastly, each device has endgame scoring on the bottom that both the builder and the publisher may score. The 2 numbers here dictate how many of that scoring condition you need to have to score either 2 or 4 points. For instance, this one says you will score 2 points if you have 4 influence in the blue guild, and you'll score 4 points if you have 7 in the blue guild. Finally, 4 leftover device cards and coins in any combination are worth 1 point, and after all that, the inventor with the most points will win.